I am back again on a Tuesday to give you guys that technical analysis for the SPY Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, and Nvidia, and AMD. That's right, we added AMD to the Patreon, so we're going to go over it in every video this week. And right now, we're really just going to tackle the SPY first, so let's get into it. Overall on the SPY, if you're coming in for the first time, these are our weekly ranges, right? So the top side of that weekly range and the bottom side down here around that 475.83. These are just what the options market have priced in for the week. And right now we're sitting still kind of right in the middle of that zone. So that just tells us that, hey, if we do get outside of this, 68% of the time we do land back within this zone. And if we did get excited and get outside of it to the downside as well, we do have that 68% chance to land back within this zone by Friday close. We still do have this mark here, which is Wednesday, January 31st, and that is going to be for that Fed interest rate decision. It's going to be a very, very important day. We're still pricing in way too many rate cuts, and we're going to kind of like the previous videos when we got a little bit of selling down in here, we're going to get snapped back to reality eventually. And I think that because we keep trailing higher and higher, that snap back to reality could be a little more painful this time. Now, what were we mentioning in yesterday's video? Well, we noticed there's a gap down here. We wouldn't be surprised even tomorrow if that tries to get filled, maybe with a little more consolidation. But at this point, with this recent price action, even on the hourly, we can see a little mini cup here. And maybe if we do form some kind of handle, we'll actually head higher. Now, what that'll do for us, excuse me, is what we were talking about, right? We were looking for some kind of hourly divergence right up in this area by our monthly expected move, which is that yellow line, and by that weekly expected move. So if we do get excited, get past this trend line, this channel that we've been in, we get a little bit excited, then we could see a divergence form up here and get some kind of drop. Sorry about that, my dog was squeaking. So what we were paying attention to was that divergence forming up in this area, and I believe that that's going to be a very important divergence. Now, we can't take that, take it with a grain of salt is overall what I'm saying here. If we do get this divergence up here, we still need some bad news behind it. That's something I say a lot on this channel. It's not just good to have that divergence. That's when the momentum has died out. And if we get some bad news with that divergence, then we can see a bigger drop in the overall market. And I'm going to tell you right now, we're pretty due for one. Now, the Qs, very, very similar story. We broke out of the, I believe this was a triangle that we were in, ascending triangle. So it looks like we were going to get some resistance here. We just blew past that. And then we came down, we filled a gap. We get this little cupping here. So if we do get some kind of small handle for a couple of hours, maybe even tomorrow, we actually could see that extend higher. Now, will that be short-lived? Because a lot of the time, these monthly expected moves, like here on the Qs, can come in as resistance, and then the weekly can come in as resistance as well. That's all the options market is priced in, so you can see some selling in those areas. Right now, I'm just stating this down here on the MACD. We're seeing that we're in overbought territory, so if we do want to head higher from here, most likely that divergence is going to give us some kind of consolidation to head a little bit higher. That's just my opinion at this point. Now, if we did actually want to, not confirm this cup, not get some kind of handle and head higher, well, maybe we do actually get some further consolidation, and then we see that extend higher in the future, causing this MACD to drag down and get really close to that center line, okay? So we're looking for a divergence, but we're looking for a divergence close to that center line and then that bad news to push it through and get us into negative territory, starting a negative trend. I am going to say this one more time. This is still a bullish market, okay? Until we get some bad news behind these divergences, I would not bank on us just randomly going down from here. We're going to need some kind of news to really shake up this market and start a negative trend. Apple, we're seeing this stair stepping up on the hourly, and overall, I said yesterday, I would really like this to consolidate, maybe bounce off of this zone, because a lot of the times in the past, right, let's just take this zone, for instance, right, we burst up through it, we get some touches in it to gain some ground, and then we explode higher. We even come down and maybe even try to retest it one more time, and we spring higher pretty quick. That's what I really think should happen here. I think that we could get that further consolidation, come down and get a touch of this, and then go up. But since this has been so bullish, we can remain in overbought territory for quite some time. As you see, this goes all the way back to Monday as of right now. Actually, we were actually overbought all the way back to Friday afternoon. So this can continue to be overbought, right? We can continue to just see this trail higher and higher. The important thing to pay attention to with Apple is if we get some kind of lower high, right? If we get a lower high while the SPY is making a new high, or the Qs are even making a new high overall, and then we see Apple start to turn down, crossing the center line, but the SPY or Qs haven't necessarily done it at this point, that could be a signal that we can pay attention to, because Apple's one of the most popular stocks. It's one of the biggest stocks. So it's something to pay attention to if it's doing something different than the overall market. Amazon here, we're starting to coil up, right? We're getting tighter and tighter in this price action on an hourly, and we're expecting a big move. Now, is this some kind of big head and shoulders to now head higher? That's definitely what I'm actually leaning towards. I think we're going to see a little mini blow off top, if you will. I think right now we're going to see that bullishness come back in. You notice that divergence here, it did actually confirm, but we right away went back to positive territory. So you should have known right away, hey, I don't need to be shorting this just yet. I can be a little patient, maybe wait for that to get down into that negative territory. So that's really what I'm paying attention to on Amazon. I might even pull up a 2-hour real quick for fun and just show you guys. Do you see the 2-hour divergence? I like 2-hour divergence a little bit more. We're just going over the hourly charts today. Once this 2-hour divergence confirms and it's at the same time as the RSI, what have I told you on this channel a bunch? 2-hour divergences do like to turn over those daily charts, okay? So we can see a daily chart start to roll over on that MACD once we get this 2-hour divergence to confirm. But right now you do have a head and shoulders, so maybe we actually go a little bit higher, touch a point of resistance, touch a trend line, and then we see that full divergence take place and cross and get into negative territory and do all that good stuff. That lets us know, hey, the daily has a very good chance of rolling over here. Tesla, we already showed you guys that 30-minute, right? The 30-minute had a quadruple divergence down here. Now this hourly does have these divergences in here, and now it's remaining above that line here. So we'll have to pay attention. If Tesla's able to get into positive territory, we're still in a very good supply zone. We have a little mini head and shoulders here, okay? So there is a good chance for a bounce in this area, and I'm still standing by that. We actually have Tesla earnings as of Thursday. So we'll have to pay attention to that. Maybe people do get excited before earnings and then that's a letdown, or maybe those earnings actually come out good and we see that bounce come with those earnings. So that's just something to pay attention to. I try to stay away from stocks when they are around their earnings. So Tesla, I will not be trading because earnings is a couple days away. Nvidia, we were overall talking about how there is multiple points of divergence, right? You have multiple points of divergence up here, and you're not necessarily that close to that center line. So I was just stating how we could see more of this type of action where we kind of come up, we consolidate sideways, we go up, we consolidate sideways, we go up, we consolidate sideways, we go up, we consolidate, we go up. So right now we're getting that consolidation sideways, and maybe we do have one more push left in us before that actually breaks down. So that's something to pay attention to. Really on Nvidia, I'm going to be paying attention to when that negative trend starts, because I believe that Nvidia is going to sell off pretty dramatically once that negative trend begins. All right, AMD is kind of an outlier here, right? Nvidia's outside of its monthly, but so is AMD. So right now you're outside of that monthly, and what did we tell you at the beginning of this video? 68% chance that we land back within this zone before the month is over. And guess what? The month ends on January 31st, and what else happens on January 31st? We get the Fed rate decision, okay? Now, this is consolidation that we were talking about. We were talking about some kind of double bottom down in here, or if we wanted to cut that and create some kind of small divergence on a 15-minute. Right now, it looks like that double bottom. We've gotten out of those overbought conditions, right, on the RSI down here. And now we're noticing that we're moving sideways again in that same area. We can get another push higher, maybe to test this high, make a little new one, and then we can get that point of divergence to really come in. Okay, so we haven't necessarily had the divergence on the MACD and RSI at the same time, and that's really what I look for to see these trends start to flip around. And the good part here is the 2-hour, you could get some kind of small 2-hour divergence. If we just look back just a tiny bit, what led to a sudden drop in Nvidia recently? Okay, so this drop here was from all the way up on this wick, all the way down. That is almost 12% in just 1 week's worth of trading. So we want to pay attention to that. What was happening at that point? Well, we had a 2-hour divergence. So I'm just stating that if you're really looking for a daily chart to roll over, it's good to look for these 2-hour divergences. And we don't necessarily have one yet. So we'll have to see if this is able to extend higher. It's still within its zone, right, on AMD. So we're still within this zone, 68% chance to land within that zone by close on Friday. But maybe we do see some kind of pop, and then we start to see all this fade, get some divergences to confirm. And then going into next week, we'll have to see what happens with that Fed rate decision. Now we've been talking about this signal here. This is TLT in front of us, and you notice how the overall market, yes, the SPY came down a little bit, but it actually bounced back up, and now we're getting those new all-time high narratives. The narrative that we've been looking for, right? We said in the first quarter of 2024, look for the narrative of all-time high. Look for the all-time high bear trap, or sorry, bull trap. This is going to be most likely one of the biggest bull traps that we've seen in a long time. We're going to go into recession most likely this year, so let's really pay attention to it with GDP coming out this week, but I'd really be paying attention to that Fed rate decision. Now we're noticing that this is coming down while the SPY is actually going up, so that is a signal that we pay attention to. Now, if I go into the shorter time frames, let's look at an hourly here. What do we see on the hourly? Well, we see divergence. So if we get some kind of news with this double bottom, we get that divergence that actually got us very close into positive, like to positive territory. That just means, hey, with some kind of news that actually makes the bond traders get active, right, get buying, we can see a solid bounce from here. And that's just what I wanted to state. We were talking about this area, right? We were saying, hey, there's a little bundle of price action in here. This could be used as support. We mentioned that, I think like 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were talking about this. And the reason that we were pointing to this is because you got this right in here, you got this right in here, and you have a little bit right in here. So you have a good amount of support in this area. And that just means, hey, with the divergences, I should maybe be looking for a bounce in these yields. Just to clarify, not a bounce in the yields, a bounce in the TLT. Finally, the VIX. Okay, the VIX, we were talking about, hey, yeah, there's some subtle divergences here, but I wouldn't bank on this confirming, right? I wouldn't bank on this confirming. I wouldn't get overzealous here and take it. I'd really wait for that green bar to show up, or even wait for it to get into positive territory and then start to see volatility take off. I was just stating how, yes, we have divergence here, but it really looks like we want to test this area down in here one more time. The bottom of our little range that we were in is what I overall was paying attention to. We're getting there very, very quickly. So this could be a sign that we are going to see some kind of reaction out of the VIX very soon. If we wanted to cut below this level first, we would be paying attention to that 1212 level, right? We'd be paying attention to 1212. The last time that we got to 1212, we were only there for like 2 days, 3 days maybe, and then we saw volatility start to come back into this market. So that 1212 is going to be what you want to look for. If we do cut below this range, I would really be paying attention to this because we seem to not want to hang out there very long, which is very interesting as we do have that Fed rate decision on January 31st. And we'll want to pay attention to this, especially going on into next week. So the main takeaway here is, yes, we are seeing that bullishness continue, and we're seeing the VIX drop off kind of like we thought it would, and we're seeing that consolidation in order to start to head higher. Okay, so we still could head higher by the end of the week. We could get GDP numbers that look like they're going to come in positive, which just means that people could see it as good news for the overall market. And sorry, I was paused for a sec. I just wanted to make sure you guys could see me. But overall, it's just when everyone is getting greedy, we should start to be a little bit fearful. And that's what we want to get across in this video tonight. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Smash that like button, share it with your friends, watch the video all the way through. It really, really does help. I want to continue to make more videos for you guys. And I have a pretty good handle on my schedule as of now. Just videos are going to come out later, so turn those notifications on. I wish you all the luck in the world trading tomorrow, and I hope you have a good night. Peace.